Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous, hosted by Bruce Hutchin. I'm so happy you've joined us today, and you're going to find out a lot about whitetail hunting on the show. Hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today. We welcome to today's episode of Whitetail Rendezvous Melanie Peterson. Now, Melanie is out of Daniel, Wyoming, and she's been a Wyoming girl for some time. She met her husband Kirby up there. He was a rodeo guy, and as they say, the rest is history. She and Kirby run Timberline Lodge and also Big Country Outfitters out of Daniel, Wyoming, which is kind of sort of right near Pinedale, if you know that sort of country. Why are we having Melanie on the show? Well, she is one of the semifinalists for the Extreme Huntress contest this year, and the winner will be awarded their trophy at the Dallas Safari Club next winter. And when I asked Melanie to be on the show, I wanted to find out about Extreme Huntress. I wanted to find out about why I think she is qualified. And I wanted to find out what she would say if she won. And so all those questions are going to be answered during today's show. Sit back, relax, and listen to an Extreme Huntress, Melanie Peterson. Welcome to a special episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. I'm excited to have Melanie Peterson on. Who's Melanie Peterson? Well, she's one of the ladies in the Extreme Huntress Contest. And if you're not on social media, if you're not checking out Extreme Huntress Contest for 2017, you need to, because there's some great gals from all over North America vying for the title of Extreme Huntress. Having said that, Melanie owns and operates Timberline Lodge and Big Country Outfitters outside of Pinedale, in a little community called Daniel, Wyoming. Melanie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Bruce.
Hey, folks, and what we're going to do, the first part of the show, we're going to talk about Melanie and her candidacy to be Extreme Huntress. And the second part, we're going to talk about hunting the West. Why? Because a lot of my listeners on their bucket list, they want to go elk hunting. They want to go mule deer hunting, not just in Colorado, but they might have on the bucket list to shoot an elk in New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana, which can be done. DIY can be done, but it's sure easier to go with an outfitter. So, Melanie, let's just start off. What's so special about Extreme Huntress?
Well, Extreme Huntress was introduced to me actually for the first time last year. I was attending the Dallas Safari Club Ladies Luncheon, where I had donated a bear hunt for our place in Wyoming. And I got to see the 6 finalists from the 2016-17 season. The winner was selected there at the luncheon. And I decided I wanted to find out more about it. And I learned that basically this was created about 9 years ago, trying to be a voice for women who would like to be introduced to the sport of hunting, getting more women involved in the sport of hunting, on the premise that with the high divorce rate in this country, that we need to get to the moms, to get to their kids, to get these people out in the woods. And I just really have always felt strongly about that as a female hunter myself and a guide. I see women joining their husbands and their sons on hunts, but oftentimes, I'll get questions from ladies, where do you go to learn how to do this? Or I wasn't my brothers got invited on the hunts with my uncles and my dad, but they didn't bring the girls, and I've always wanted to. And so it was an opportunity really for me. I'm not much of a contest person, but it was something for me to consider jumping into just to kind of get the message out there. And that's really my premise behind being involved.
When you think about it, I know a little bit about your history. I know you worked really hard to get a 200-inch mule deer, which are very difficult for anybody to get. let's take that, just that one hunt, and unpack it, and tell the people just a few minutes how hard that was to put that animal on the ground.
Well, I've been hunting basically since I was 8 years old. My ambition, and really the one animal that's lacking in everybody's trophy room, is a big mule deer. There's really only one way to get a big mule deer. You can't grow it on a high fence ranch. They don't do well in captivity. The only way to get one is the hard way, and they have to get old to get big. And you have to go to areas that generally are not easily accessible. By I'm fortunate enough to actually live in an area that the backcountry to me is completely closed off to vehicle traffic. You have to either be horseback or hunting on foot, backpacking in. And so we basically cater to the extreme hunters that are willing to get horseback and ride back into the backcountry. And we hunt at 10,000 feet for these big mule deer. They hang out above timberline, a lot of spot and stalk, getting within, what I call getting within 300 yards is what I consider a gift. Some of these shots are being taken at 500 to 700 yards with specially equipped long-range shooting rifles. But to get a buck anything over 180 these days on a mule deer is really an exceptional trophy. We just happen to live in an area that the genetics are there, and we do end up taking a 200-inch deer actually on an annual basis. So we just selection. We take limited number of hunters that are actually trophy-minded people that are willing to pass on the 150s and the 160s and hold out for possibly a 200. But my day came for me in 1995. I had hunted all of the western states. Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, California, Wyoming was on the list as well, and made it happen in 1995 and actually shot a buck that scored 204 inches. So I've done that a couple times since then, but that was my first one, and I will never forget it.
And that's an alpine buck, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And folks, having spent a few months actually chasing sheep, you wouldn't believe where these alpine bucks are. I was up below Mount Sherman, and there was a ridge coming up at about 12,000 feet, and I'm sitting there glassing, and all of a sudden I see this elk coming across the top, just a little saddle. I go, oh, that's a gorgeous elk. I got my glass on him, and it wasn't an elk. It was more bone than I've ever seen on top of a mule deer head. And it was just absolutely gorgeous. He was backlit, and to me, it's majestic. I mean, it's just a majestic critter. When you see a mature, 200-inch plus mule deer, you've seen something that's I'm going to say 1 in a million. You probably know the statistics better than I do, but very few people will ever put eyes on them, and to be capable of hunting it in that altitude with lack of cover makes Melanie, in my book, an extreme huntress. And nothing else needs to be said with a trophy like that. So kudos to you on that. And when you think about extreme huntress, you said, well, I should try to do it. What was a process to get your name in the hat?
Well, I was kind of jokingly thinking about it at the luncheon, but I looked at the stage and I saw those 6 ladies that were on the stage, and I said, I'm going to just guess that I am double their age. So I thought, well, I don't know what kind of competition hoops we're going to have to run through to get through this process. I thought, well, maybe it's just an essay that you have to fill out and they look at you on paper and judge it, but it actually is a real contest. So once I first kind of researched Extreme Huntress just to make sure that it was a worthy organization, that it was really doing something for hunting. I'm not a big fan of cliche hunting shows where, it's more about the cute girl with a gun wearing pink camo. I want something that really has some substance to it. And this particular organization does. And I really love the philosophy behind it. And I have said this for many, many years. You have to get to the moms to get to the kids. And this is exactly what the premise behind this is. So you basically fill out an application online, you submit it. Then this particular year, you had to fill out, or you submitted a 3-minute bio of your story and submitted it to the judges. And it was open up worldwide. I believe one contestant is from Argentina, or is it Argentina or South Africa? I can't remember offhand, but it was open to huntresses worldwide. And so it was pretty awesome to be selected out of, I'm sure, the hundreds of applicants that applied to actually get to the top 14. And that's where we're at right now. So right now we're in the online voting stage where 30% of your score is going to be based on the number of online votes that you receive. And then 70% of your score will be a judge's panel. So of the 14 that we're at right now, 6 of those will be selected, and we will move on to a head-to-head skills contest, which will be held July 9th through the 14th at the legendary YO Ranch in South Texas.
Doing some research, I found out that the 30% is basically used as a tiebreaker, because the 70% is the judges looking at all the different aspects in their criteria that they want to represent Extreme Huntress. And then the social media part, ergo, where you and I can vote or anybody can vote, is 30%. And somebody explained that, the judges come down and it's nip and tuck, and then they're going to take a look at the 30% who got the popularity vote. I guess that's one way of saying it. Is that how you understand it also?
I do. Yes. And I can tell you, this is where age probably does play a factor. I'm 50, and I do not spend a whole lot of my time on social media. I'm not an active Twitter user, Instagram, Snapchat. I do have a Facebook account, mostly to keep up with my kids. But if you don't have 5,000 followers on Instagram, it's really hard to garner these online votes. You're hitting up all of your friends. I'm sure my friends are sick getting text messages from me at this point. Vote for me, vote for me. But so it does play a factor. And I think that the reason that they're doing the online voting is to kind of see what kind of resources you have available to you outside of your immediate social circle. Are you able to pull in strangers? Are you able to garner the support of people that you may not necessarily know personally, but are willing to like your video, to vote for you, to root for you, whether they know you or not? And that does have a factor in this, and I understand where they're going with that, but it sure makes it difficult for somebody who does not spend a lot of time on social media.
And well said. But the other part is that it's only 30%. So if your criteria, your resume is strong enough, and I'm enamored because every time I talk to you, you talk about wives and kids, single moms and everything, and that's one reason of the growth in the women outdoors, because ladies are saying, I want to do that, so I'm going to just go and do it. And a good friend of mine, Kirsty Pike, started Proas outdoor hunting apparel because of that about 8 or 10 years ago out of Gunnison, because she was sick and tired of wearing her husband's hand-me-downs. Now that's a huge industry for her and for other ladies, because the gear is cut to you, to a woman's figure. And so we look at all these things that have happened for women, and it's growing exponentially in my opinion. And what are 3 things that a guy can do to help his girlfriend, his wife, his sister embrace the outdoors?
Well, the first thing is offer the invite. I think that a lot of people would be surprised just how many women would jump on the opportunity just with a simple invite. Hey, let's go spend a day shooting rabbits. Let's do something fun. The next number 2 is make it fun. It's not going to be about the kill. It's about really exposing somebody to all of the beauty of the outdoors. It could be something as simple as looking at a bald eagle, but making it a fun adventure for somebody. you don't have to take your girlfriend or your wife on an extreme backcountry backpack trip that they had to walk 25 miles and have blistered feet to get there to experience it. Make it just maybe a weekend fun hunt. That would be something that I would definitely, that's probably, I would move that to number one, making it a fun experience. Number three, I would definitely not make it about the kill. I mean, let's face it, women can be really sensitive. And, I think you need to talk to them about the conservation portion of why we hunt. Really, all the contributions of what your license goes to, how it preserves the heritage for future generations, and the sound management behind actual hunting seasons and the selection process. And there's a lot to it. And I think that as a boyfriend or a husband, you really have a unique opportunity to expose somebody that maybe a father doesn't, so to speak. They want to be with you already. And I promise you, if you just extended the invitation in lieu of them staying home with the kids, get a babysitter, take them with you. And I honestly think that
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draw odds are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. All in all, if you're hunting out west in 2018, GoHunt.com Insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com.
you're going to have a hunting partner for life.
Well said. And I want to go back to something that we talked about yesterday. I know a number of guys that love to hunt whitetails, and they'll go into whitetail camp, and they'll stay in the lodge or tent or farmhouse. It doesn't really matter, and they're all geared up. The testosterone's flowing because they've got to find Mr. Wonderful, and one Mr. Wonderful to me is a 150 plus mature whitetail. Then you have a group of ladies that come in for Ladies Week, same farm, and they're just having a riot because they're seeing hawks smoke a red squirrel. They're seeing turkeys. They're hearing owls hoot in the morning. They're hearing coyotes yipping, and all this becomes part of the hunt. Where men, and myself included, until late, it was the hunt, it was the tagging, it was the harvest, it was the grips and grins, it was, hey, look at me, and I provided, for my family. If you go way back to the Stone Age, I came in with the meat, and my family's going to live. Well, there's still some of that underneath it all, but most of it is testosterone and look at me, and not saying that that's wrong because you're proud of what you did. But women take a completely different viewpoint of it, and you just touched upon it. You have fun. And how can we transfer that thought process over to the guys so the guys can really enjoy the hunt, not just the harvest?
You're absolutely right, Bruce. The demeanor in camp is completely different when you're hunting with women versus when you're hunting with men. And the guys are there with their hunting buddies, and there's this natural competitiveness amongst them. And women do to a certain degree, but that's not the primary focus. It's not who's going to get the biggest animal that week, or how many shots did it take you, or how far did you shoot. It's taking time to really see all of the other things that we all love about hunting. The smell of the air, the beauty, the horseback ride in, the horseback ride out, the jokes that are being told during the day, making fun of yourself. We've interrupted a ladies' hunt to go look at rocks It's just simple stuff. I think that the guys can learn a lot from that. And I do see it a little bit more when husbands are hunting with their wives, because they're not hunting with the guys, they're hunting with their wives, and they're literally taking the time to point things out to their wives, or hey, come look at this bear that I have over here in my binoculars. We may not be bear hunting, but it's just kind of a cool little sight that they may not have an opportunity to see again. But it's slowing down to take the time to really enjoy nature as it's meant to be enjoyed is really the best part of hunting. The kill is really the secondary part of it. I'll never get tired of hearing people tell me from horseback, they get to the top of a mountain and they're looking and they may see the top of the Tetons and they said, wow, you are so lucky. And honestly, I have to be reminded of that every now and then. After 45 or 60 days of hunting, I see this every single day. But it sure is a nice reminder when somebody reminds you of just how beautiful it is and how lucky and blessed we really are.
Just to, I'm going to echo that. I was in Open Creek, Gopher River, and we got up really high so we could see over two oceans pass and everything. There's the Tetons. The sun's going down, and you go. You can't take the picture. You just go, I'm just blessed to be sitting here on this horse looking at this because it's so majestic and it takes my breath away even now when I shut my eyes and I go, I was there. I mean, it's just, I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah, it's spiritual. It's all part of God's plan, but there it is. And folks, if you've never done that, if you never got to some iconic place, I don't care if the ocean, the Grand Canyon, someplace that you go, wow, I'm standing there. It represents eons of time and how the earth created itself and the Tetons just pop out of the valley floor and they're majestic. And, do yourself a favor, grab the kids this coming summer and go to some of these places and just wake up in the morning and see the sunrise or put the mountains to bed. That's all I can say about it. Your thoughts, Melanie?
Absolutely. This is a great summer to try to do that too. The solar eclipse is August 21st, which is it's going to be a really neat experience. We're actually planning a big trail ride to the top of the mountain range there in the Wind Rivers. And we'll experience, I think, 2.5 minutes of total darkness. And I'm pretty excited to set up some spotting scopes to see what the animals do. Will they be, tricked into thinking it's night? And it's going to be a really interesting time in Wyoming. I think pretty much the entire middle section of Wyoming is right in the center line of the total darkness eclipse. So it'll be an exciting time, but this would be a great summer to bring the family and check out the sites and get a kid out in the woods.
So, Melanie, how do people vote for you? That they listen to the podcast and say, "Okay, she's got my vote." Where do they go? How do they do it?
Well, they'll log on to extremehuntress.com and they'll see all 14 videos of all the ladies competing. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there's actually a column of the list of names. You make your selection on who you'd like to vote for. You click vote, and you will be required to submit your email address. Shortly after voting, you will get a verification email sent to the corresponding email address, and it will be from polldaddy.com. You must verify your email address in order for your vote to count. There is kind of a self-limiting anti-cheating mechanism. It is only one vote per email. If there is for instance, if you have one URL address for your family, let's say your whole family uses the same computer at home, you can vote one time per email address. However, if you are using the same URL, you must wait at least an hour in between votes. It just kind of keeps people from using multiple email address for the same person.
So one more time, go to extremehuntress.com. And do you have to put the extension /voting to get to where you need to go?
You don't necessarily have to. You can, but extremehuntress.com is the actual website, and you'll see contestant voting as the link.
Okay, so now the contest is over and you've won. You're standing at the Dallas Safari Club next winter, and you got the trophy in your hand. What are you going to say?
Well, I'm going to be pretty darn excited. I'm going to be pretty darn excited to have accomplished that at 50. I'll tell you that. I really am going to use this kind of as a jumping off platform to be a voice, to be an advocate, to, I don't know, the Extreme Huntress title, I think will give validity to what I've been preaching all these years about getting women out in the woods and really kind of using it as an education stepping stone. I think that there is a lot of room for growth. I know it's become quite fashionable for women to be hunting these days, but I want to take it beyond fashion and really make it an everyday activity for some. I mean, I think that we've gotten to the point where, you married your best friend, you ought to take her hunting with you.
Well said. And so we're going to switch it up now. That's the infomercial on Extreme Huntress. Again, go to extremehuntress.com, place a vote. There's a lot of great gals, vying for this. Melanie agreed to be on the show, and that's why she's been promoted on Whitetail Rendezvous. Gina Mitchell also did that yesterday. So a couple gals have raised their hand. Serena Thompson's going to be on later today. So a number of gals have said, "Hey, I'd like to be on your show." And so if you hear this and you are a contestant, I'd welcome you to have to interview you also to get the word out, because I'm 100% behind ladies being successful, building confidence, realizing that they're just as capable as any guy in the woods. And from my fly fishing days, I love guiding women because they listen to you, and their techniques and everything. It isn't strength. It is utilizing all the physics that go into fly fishing. I won't get into that, but fly fishing is a rhythm, and you're taught on that when you learn how to fly fish. And my hat's off to every single woman that I ever guided, because they were better fly fishermen than the men. And so don't get mad at me, men. I'm out of that business. So that's my 2 cents on that. So, hey, let's switch it up to Timberline Lodge. And we've got another, I know you got calls coming in. I want to give you a couple minutes, but 10 minutes just on big country outfitting and Timberline Lodge. Let's talk about that, then we'll close the show.
Sure. Well, we started Timberline Lodge Big Country Outfitters in 2003. We purchased a ranch that's adjacent to the 3.4 million acre Bridger Teton Forest. And we started construction in 2003, and today it is a year-round operation. We basically kind of run a family dude ranch type situation in the summertime, where we provide pack trips, fishing trips, and daily trail rides. We do some hunting in the summer, which just basically consists of predator hunting or prairie dog hunting. But bear season is spring and fall. We're currently underway for spring black bear season right now. And then following our hunting season, which wraps up at the end of November, we start in with snowmobilers. We cater to, we're one of the best places in the West to actually snowmobile the Continental Divide and the Wyoming Range Trail System. So it's 3.4 million acres of untracked snow, and we get people from all over the country and Canada coming snowmobiling all the way through first part of April. And so we've operated on a year-round basis. I wear a lot of different hats. I don't just guide hunters. I'll cook, I'll clean dishes, I'll saddle horses, I'll do whatever it takes. But we do operate year-round. Families, couples, we do Christian group retreats. We do it all at our place.
And looking at the map, Daniel, the Green River Rendezvous was held there. Is that correct?
Yeah. If you've ever watched the movie The Mountain Man, where the famous line, "Meet me on the green," the actual rendezvous site was Daniel, Wyoming, and it's right there at the confluence of the Green River. That's where the Indians and the mountain men would get together, and they'd trade fur and trade for hunting supplies. And they continue that tradition every July. The second weekend in July, Pinedale, Wyoming holds the Mountain Man Rendezvous Festival for 4 days. And they do the Mountain Man reenactment. They'll do a pageant. There's some vendors that show up, and it's really just nothing more than a big 4-day party in Pinedale, kind of reminiscent of what it was like in the 1800s.
And one thing I want you to know, the largest peak in Wyoming is 13,804 feet. And that's Gannett Peak, and that's the highest mountain in Wyoming. Is that in your area that you hunt?
We don't hunt over on Gannett Peak. That is actually on the Wind River Range. I'm actually in the Wyoming Range for the most part. I do have a permit on the north side in the Grovant Wilderness area, which would be due west of Gannett Peak. But I primarily stay in the Hoback area, the upper Hoback region, where all the big mule deer are.
And there are some big mule deer there, that's for sure. So, wrapping up the show, 3 things that you think are important in the Extreme Hunters contest, and then we'll give you time for shout outs, and then we'll be done.
3 things that I think are important as a candidate?
Yeah, no, I said that wrong. Okay, what Extreme Hunters program contest stands for? What are the 3 things that are most important to you?
I think that the most important thing is that we select somebody who has experience, somebody who has the ability to lead, basically taking people who have no experience whatsoever and convincing them that this is a great idea. This is something that they're going to enjoy. Number 3, I think that somebody needs to be committed to the longevity of it. And, one of the sides of this contest that nobody has really talked about, which I'm expecting, we have a lot of antis out there. There's going to be the person who wins this needs to be prepared to be under fire. If you Google past winners, they've had death threats. They've been slammed on social media for being a murderer of God's creatures. Honestly, you have to be able to take that with grace, and you have to be able to effectively argue that and believe 100% in what you're doing. You can't go into this half-heartedly. You can't go into it for the attention. You can't go into it for the 15 minutes of fame. This is something that's going to stick with you for a very long time. And I hope that I welcome those conversations. I absolutely, I see it every day. I get emails when you're on, like I said, social media and you have an internet website. Those people find you no matter where you are. And I absolutely love engaging in those conversations, educating somebody where they are so wrong.
Melanie Peterson, it's been a joy, and I can't wait to get Kathy and I and head your way, because I know there's some great fly fishing up there in the summertime. I know that for sure. And just
Absolutely.
to spend an afternoon clicking trail, that would be fun too. And just hanging out with you and Kirby, I think that would be neat. And who knows if we'll head that way. But having said that, it's just been a joy, and I wish you so much success. And you're already successful, and I hope your voice continues to grow and you find your voice through Extreme Huntress contest.
Thank you. Well, come see me if you want to contact me in Wyoming. It's www.timberlinetrips.com, and I'm happy.
Hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today.
Happy to answer anybody's questions, and I hope to see you out west soon.
On the next episode, we're going to have Gina Mitchell. She's number 2 up on Extreme Huntress, semifinalist, and she's trying to get enough points to become a finalist in the Extreme Huntress contest this year. Extreme Huntress means a lot to these ladies because it tells about the lifestyle, it tells about their hunting prowess, and it tells about what they're doing in the outdoor world to make them not just a great hunter, but a great individual. Stay tuned. I think you'll enjoy Tina Mitchell.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.